Hello, I'm Robert, fact checker and science blogger, and helping people who are scared of many things. And this time it's about people who are scared that the world is going to end because the Mayan calendar, the Mirror, which is a red-top tabloid, is telling the world that the Mayan calendar is going to start its next Baktun again on 21st of June. And this is not true at all. It's just nonsense. So you can go and I've done a little web page here using a script from Wikipedia. It tells you what today's date is. Today is the 14th of June in the Gregorian calendar. It's the 13th Baktun, and it's the 7th Tun, and the 10th Uinal, and the 12th Kin in the Mayan calendar. So it's already well into the 13th Baktun. We are 7 tuns into the 13th Baktun. The 13th Baktun, the start of the 13th Baktun is what they all celebrated. If you scroll down a bit, all these people celebrating, just a little bit of it. Let's turn the sound up. So people tend to don't realise that the Mayans, they didn't go extinct. All they did is run away into caves when the Spanish came, and there's still people today who are descendants of the ancient Mayans, and they still keep the same calendar. And at the start of the 13th Baktun, then they did a big celebration, not on the last day of the last one, on the first day, I think it was the 22nd, they did it. They had a big celebration of the start of a new Baktun. And there's someone in our group on Doomsday Debunked who is descended from the Mayans, and he says that for them a new Baktun is like a new day. And thinking the world would end is a bit like thinking the world would end at the end of midnight, because it's a new day. They just didn't have an idea at all. So the 13th Baktun started on the 21st of December 2012, which was and that was the 13th Baktun. And all this Daily Mirror nonsense is about the Ethiopian calendar, and the Ethiopian calendar is different from the Gregorian one, and they're both different from the Mayan calendar. So the 13th Baktun started on the 12th Tahasus in the Ethiopian calendar in 2005. That's because they've got a different year for the date that Jesus was born, and they count back from the day that Jesus was born. The Mayan calendars, they don't count back to that at all. The Mayan calendars, they count back to their first day is the 11th of August 3114 BC in our calendar. That's when the Mayan calendar starts, and the birth of Jews has nothing to do with the birth of Jesus. So, and the Ethiopians the Mayans didn't have a calendar a month called December, and the Ethiopians don't have a month called December. It's nothing to do with December the 21st. And so you just get all this silly nonsense. And then the Mayans, they were good astronomers for their day, but their maths and astronomy wasn't a patch on ours. We can predict eclipses to the second, or to the minute and to the second. And they hadn't got a chance of that. And we can say exactly where to go to stand to watch a solar eclipse. Within, this is the actual line that the shadow of a solar eclipse is very narrow, goes across the Earth, and only if you're in that very, very narrow track will you see a solar eclipse, a few tens of kilometres across. And you've got to be exactly in that. The Mayans wouldn't have had a chance of saying where you've got to stand to see the solar eclipse. And they assumed that a flat Earth that was the back of a crocodile or a turtle floating in a vast ocean. And as I say there, that has not turned out to be a useful way of looking at the Earth in modern astronomy. We don't think of the Earth as being flat. We don't think it's being the back of a turtle. So there's just no reason to pay any attention to the Mayan calendar. They didn't say anything was going to happen. And in any case, they were talking about people standing on the back of a turtle, not a round planet going around the sun. And all this stuff goes back to, all this fear is the 2012 movie. And they made this, they did this fake website where they said the Mayans prophesied it, science has confirmed it, and yet the government won't tell you a word about it. And then you were able to get a lottery number. You went and clicked on this fake website. They didn't say this is a fake website. They said it was a genuine website. But you could go and click and try and get a lottery number to escape from the Earth. And this was very successful financially. They earned $769 million on a budget of $200 million. So over $500 million of profit from this marketing ploy. But it was widely criticised being deeply unethical to get people to watch your movie by pretending that there was a scientific statement in it that the world was going to end. And David Morrison said like this, I've even had cases of teenagers writing to me saying they're contemplating suicide. I think when you lie on the internet and scare children to make a buck, that is ethically wrong. And the film is absolutely, utterly absurd. It talks about neutrinos mutating. Neutrinos can't mutate. It's a bit like saying electrons getting angry, as Dara O'Brien. He's a comedian, also studied science at university, and he makes a lot of fun about it. And he says, saying the neutrinos have mutated is a bit like saying the electrons got angry, or the light from the sun went off and started getting smelly. It's as ridiculous as that. There's no science in that movie. Just silly stuff. And so here we go to the Mayan calendar, a special Mayan date, and this is these are the past dates: the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. The 11th Baktun was in the 13th century. The 12th was in the 15th century. We just started the 13th Baktun. Then there'll be a 14th in 2407, a 15th in 2801, 16th, 17th, 18th, and 19th. And then we get the first Baktun in 4772, and presumably the Mayans, if there's still Mayans surviving in those days, in that day, then have a huge celebration saying this is the start of the first Baktun. And then it goes on and on for millions of years into the future. There's no such thing as a perfect calendar, but the Mayan calendar is a bit more accurate than the Gregorian calendar. It gains only one day in 6,500 years, while the Gregorian calendar, which is the one we use, gains one day every 3,000 years or so. What else do I need to say? Oh, some people worry the Earth's crust is going to slip. That's not true. We have known that since since early in the 20th century. Middle of the 20th century. And we know that because earthquakes cause the vibrations in the earth which go through it. And some of the vibrations from earthquakes go through the solid and don't go through liquid. And other ones go through liquid. And by listening to these vibrations on the other side of the earth, it's like a kind of ultrasound. You can figure out what's inside. And using that, we know that it's solid down to 2,800 kilometers or so. 2,800, 900 kilometers depth. Apparently it's solid to that depth, then its crust can't slip. And the continental drift is softish rock, not the really hot rock, but slightly warmed up, and moving over vast, very, very slowly, centimeters for the width of the Atlantic, and moving great chunks of rock very, very slowly moving due to tiny changes in the positions of tiny little crystals that make up the rock, which on these vast timescales of millions of years and vast amounts of rock, hundreds of kilometers across, then it flows very much like water does, but very much more slowly. And you can see that with that, now we know how the Earth's crust moves, it can't just suddenly slip upside down, that's impossible. So, oh yes, so there's one more. This chap did a joke post, and he claimed that the Mayans, so he claimed that Stephen Hawking had said that. And he put lots of fake quotes in Stephen Hawking's mouth, but Stephen Hawking didn't say any such thing. And the Daily Mirror, it's a red-top tabloid like the Sun, and these are what media bias fact check called mixed. So the Mirror would never say that England had won the World Cup if it didn't. It would never say that the Queen has died when she hasn't. They would never say that Scotland has voted to leave the UK if the result was to remain. But for some reason, when it comes to comedians eating hamsters, aliens attacking the Earth, planets hitting Earth or asteroids hitting Earth, alien babies born in India, and stuff like that, they just make stuff up. Or they take something that was very, very slender kind of, like in this case, someone just, in this case it was a single tweet by someone who was a scientist, and the Daily Mirror made this into a front page story. And the tweet didn't even make much sense, and this chap, presumably in embarrassment, has not only deleted his tweet, he's deleted his entire Twitter account, because the Daily Mirror, it was probably either a joke post or something very silly that he did, maybe it was half drunk when he made it or something, who knows. And so I found out who he is, but I'm not going to tell to let on. It's easy to find out yourself, but I'm not going to dox him. But this chap, research student, this is his Twitter thing. If you go there, he's gone and deleted it. And it's no wonder. There we go. This account doesn't exist. You can't tell anything about it except his Twitter handle. So I'm not going to say who it is, but just some student. You can find his name and you can look him up. But I'm not going to dox him. So no, nothing's going to happen. And governments, as far as I know, governments have never hidden. They hide all sorts of other things, but they don't hide disaster news. They're the ones who are trying to get people to evacuate after volcanic eruption or hurricane warning. So that's it. Hope some of you are a bit less scared now.